latest work has more depth than my previous work. I wasn't really going for that in my older work. The way I arrange the dot patterns are more in a circular pattern, and it goes from the darkest color that I'm working with to the lightest for the most part. I've also been working with movement. Movement always ends up coming into play at some point or another, and sometimes I'm not even conscious of it. But in this case, I was doing it purposely. Because I have established this format where I'm going around in a circle, it becomes more trance-like while you're working on the work, because you know you're going to keep going around in the circle. The way I came up with this series to begin with, it's kind of a leap from this one. This was in my Luminosity series, and I was creating more depth in my work with these geometric panels, and the dots were just in the center as a sphere, which was a reoccurring image in my work. The leap was that instead of making this hard edge abstraction with the lines, I decided to do it all with dots. So that's how I got to this. I basically did the same thing, eliminating the lines and blocks of color and doing the whole process with dot patterns. They are tight and they're forming a mass, but I see this as almost vibrating very intensely. I still think there's movement. I also think the image of flower is coming out in my work again. Over the last 20 years, flower shapes have come out in my work, another unconscious thing that happens. And so I think that's coming out again, even though it's not literally a flower. This one is a little more deliberate. I obviously intended it to be that way, and I intended it to expand. And I was working with the shape I had, because up until this point I was doing all squares. So the expansion fit this canvas size. It feels more playful because I start out with a circle and then it gets wavy, creates more movement. It could be sound waves, it could be water. It depends on how you look at it. I feel my experience is always very different from what the viewer thinks. I get these comments like, oh, how could you possibly sit there that long? And my experience is just so completely different. It is so enjoyable and so meditative. It's actually such a pleasurable experience to do this work. I think the viewer will see maybe a calmness in the work. They'll recognize that, but they don't really get a sense of the process. I don't always know which way is going to be the top. So I'll start working on the work, and I tend to lean towards one side. I'm right-handed. So in order for the shape to come out somewhat symmetrical, if I'm going for that, turning it is best. I got a commission from someone who has bought my work before. They wanted me to do a painting that was 60 by 60, and I agreed. And it was the catalyst that helped me take that leap to a bigger size. And once my hand got used to it, and I got in the rhythm of working a little quicker and a little faster, and then when I saw the results, I was like, it's such a big difference. When they're bigger, they're better. Because each time I complete a circle, I'm going a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter, and there are hundreds of shades of the color I'm working with. So when you have the size, you just get a really smooth transition from the shades of color.